Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Facebook Live, where we talk about exploring unexpected changes. So today I was supposed to have our subject matter expert, Kevin Hudson, here today. Unfortunately, he's not feeling well. We hope you're feeling better. In addition, we've also had some interesting weather outside, which has made the roads, not very friendly for driving, so, it throws off my commute. So we've decided that instead today we're going to explore unexpected changes and how you respond to them at work. So in lieu of Kevin, I'm going to invite the program manager for open enrollment programs, Suzanne Ortiz, to come have a conversation with me about her experiences with change in the workplace and how it's important our reactions to that, to getting through that change, that difficult time, and how our response is a big aspect of how that plays out so that we're still successful, productive, and we maintain relationships with others. So first of all, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello, everybody.
I really appreciate you, stepping in on such short notice.
Sure.
So that we could have this discussion. But I mean, what a great topic anyway.
Yes, definitely.
Don't we all just experience changes last minute?
Yeah, and so let me tell you what happened to me this morning.
Okay.
So both Ashley and I do live on opposite sides of where we work from a town perspective. So this morning I left my house, right? No problem, no snow.
It looked fine out,
It was
right?
perfectly fine. About 10 minutes on the freeway, I get stuck in an absolute blizzard.
Oh my goodness.
And then I have to go over what we call our 480 bridge.
Right.
Which is already construction oriented, and I get stuck in all this snow, which then you got stuck in.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally slippery. Get here, it's perfectly fine. Now there's a blizzard out here, as you mentioned. Our instructor wasn't feeling well, and right then and there, we have this Facebook Live session.
Right.
This huge change type of scenario. It was awful. So what I did is I had to hurry up and figure this out. So we always use your camera.
That's correct.
As the Facebook Live video. So I found our IT guy in the hallway and was like, can you please give me some camera? I don't know when Ashley's going to be here. And then I'm sending emails trying to find out login information and all that. And here we are, and we're perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, and everything seems calm and seamless,
Yes.
but there is that moment of panic, right, when those
Yes.
changes happen, and then there's that fight or flight. I think you chose
Yeah.
the fight response where you were quick on your feet to think of maybe a solution or something to power through. Some people would literally throw up their hands and be like, it's ruined, it's over, we can't do it. And honestly, we could have canceled the Facebook Live today, but at the same time, you were able to get all those items together and we can make it work, right?
Yeah, it comes to a point exactly what you said, the fight or flight, really probably about 10 to 15 years ago, probably actually I would say maybe 8 years ago, I would have said let's flight, and I think the training here and the experience that I've had really helped me decide that I want to fight, which is kind of funny and ironic because it's kind of the personal branding, which
Right.
we will do again, and I want to learn a little bit more tips. I know that was something you want to learn, but with my personal brand now, I'm at the point where I want to fight, and we already had it scheduled. We told everybody that we were going to do it. You were here, you got in the parking lot, you're like, I'm on my way, and we couldn't cancel something so important. I think one of the big things like I did is process it in your head, okay? So what are the ramifications? So we're in a building right now, there are events here, but there's no staff because everyone's stuck in traffic.
Right.
So, Ashley and I before this talked and we said, okay, what can we do? And we're not the subject matter experts with personal branding. We're definitely not the subject matter experts when it comes to change, but we deal with change every day. Open enrollment, there's every change you could ever expect. You've got 15 people in a class and an instructor's sick, so what do you need to do? And I think that that's the biggest thing is, figure out what the reasoning is. What can be done, and I always tell people, a lot of people have told me, oh, I hate giving speeches, I hate, talking in front of people. I love it. And it was funny because one of the reasons I love it is because it gives you power, right? In the sense of the knowledge that you have is able to go out. And one of the things we teach here is strength finders. And so Ashley knows this, but I went through strengths finders, and two of my strengths, one of them is individualization, which is really looking at an individual, and like I want to make sure I give you the right gift because it's going to make you feel special. And the other is, developing others. And that's what it is like when I give speeches or when I give talks is really looking at how an individual is going to relate, and I can give that information to them. And the funny thing is when I talk to people, I'm like, just go first. You know, don't worry about things, and know that you are the one who knows everything. Nobody else knows it. So, you know, that's kind of what change is. You know, change is figuring out what can I do and what information is going to be out there that, you know, it's going to matter to them, and what can we do to make that right.
Yeah, I think you touched on a lot of things as you were talking. One of the things that you mentioned was how, you know, 10 years ago or even 8 years ago, you wouldn't have necessarily responded in the same way this morning to the events. And I think that does play a lot into it. Experience makes a big difference in how we respond to change. But then you also referred back to like some of your educational experiences, like strengths, knowing yourself, knowing, and also knowing how to develop others. You know, you communicate to me really well, especially in those dire moments, because you kind of know how I think and how I communicate. You know, I'm a processor. I take a minute to digest the information. I can think quickly on my feet, but it's not that instantaneous. You're more like fast. Let's execute this. Let's get this right away. Where I'm like, hold up, give me a few minutes. I need to think about it. You know, I was lucky enough that I caught all the information and had to walk across the whole building to my desk. It gave me time to think about it and process it, rather than just throwing up my hands. So can you think of like other times where maybe, and I hate to put you on the spot, and if not, maybe I could give an example, but of maybe when you didn't respond well, but then looking back, maybe what you would have done differently or how you learned from that event?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, I think about emotional intelligence. And a lot of mine is also not responding well when it comes to my family.
Okay. The people closest to us, right?
Closest
It's
to
so
me,
easy
because
to not worry about how you respond.
I have a 6-year-old, and it's like you tell him 110 times, but he remembers that we go to Sam's Club and we get samples. And I'm like, but you can't remember I told you this 100 times. And I think, though, you know, even in a work relationship, a lot of times emotions get stuck, you know. And I think that that's one of the biggest struggles with just being a person in general, but also being a manager. Sometimes you're set to a higher expectation.
Even if you said that yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, Ashley knows me way too well. But yeah, you know, I think too when you're in that type of a role, you look at yourself a little bit differently, and sometimes I take things very personally because I just care about everything, everyone, the job that we do, you know, everything that's involved. And a lot of times my emotions get involved with that, and my reactions are really quick. And it's funny because I do think of like scenarios in the past where I would have like hurried up and sent an email and, you know, gone. And now either I call my dad, you know, and I talk through the situation with him, or I write an email and then I delete it.
Oh, wow.
Or I write an email and then I rewrite it about 15 times, you know. And I think it's also, you know, getting that emotion out and getting like, oh, I can't believe that they just did that. Or one time I just screamed like internally, I'm like, oh, you know, and that's your aggression. But, you know, that's also what you teach kids when they're younger, you know. I mean, just scream into your pillow, or, you know, just punch it, just get that anger out. I actually was listening to a radio and I heard, and I apologize, I'm not very good at remembering who the people were, but she has a 5-second rule. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, a 5-second rule. Well, here what she said is when you get really irritated, you count back from 5. So you go, take a deep breath, and you go 5, 3, 2, 1. And it's amazing how just calm you
Even
become.
in that moment, I felt calmer just listening to you count and just take that breath.
You know, and I'm realizing a lot of those things too.
Yeah, I think that's a good aspect too. Like, not everyone has the answer right away. There's things, I mean, I'm a planner. I can plan and plan and plan. And one of the things I try to do is before anything is I think of a million scenarios that could go wrong. But there's always something you can't plan for, you can't think of. And it's not necessarily about having that answer right away. Sometimes it's about pausing too and just saying like, okay, I'm not sure what to do with this right at this moment, but give myself time to process it. Maybe talk to someone else. And we talked this through before we did it. We had to make a decision together of whether or not this Facebook Live would run or not. And when we bounced off some ideas that we aren't doing right now, just to see like, oh, you know, could we talk about this? Could we talk about this? Oh, wait, how about we talk about change? Because that's what we're going through right now. It's, you know, it's an important topic and we're experiencing it, and honestly, the feelings are real, and even after we're done, we're still gonna have a little bit of adrenaline, I'm sure, like, oh, the scramble, you know?
Yeah, and it's always about that, you know, and we talk about this a lot, is you can't plan for everything. Life is ever changing. I mean, we were even just talking about the phone, you know, I mean, look how far a phone has come. And, you know, I started off with the first cell phone, and that was when I was in college. I mean, so, you know, there's a lot of change that's going to happen in the world, and it's the point of you figuring out, you know, we teach handling change, you know, change at work. We do a lot of other change management type of training that occurs. But, you know, the big thing with change is being aware of your setting and be confident. You know, we talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
You know, everyone who's watching and us here, you're familiar with your job. You know your job. You are the expert in your job. Nobody else is. And the best way to make a decision is to make it with confidence and to know what you can and cannot do. And I think that that's the biggest thing. You know, we knew what we were capable of. We knew what we could or couldn't do. And hopefully everybody out there likes it and it's been successful so far. But yeah, I think that that's the biggest thing. You know, you can do it. You can think on your feet. You know, you've done it. You did it this morning. You know, and it wasn't a plan. And for those of you who are perfectionists, like I am, and I believe you are, is don't get upset. You know, just realize that stuff's gonna happen. You know, and one day my pants are gonna fit, and the next day my pants aren't gonna fit. It's just the way of life, and accepting that change is there. Is probably the best advice that I can give, and realizing that that change that has occurred, it'll be okay, you know. And I always think about the glass half empty. What are the ramifications? What can happen? And if you can't think of anything, it's the best option.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good perspective, because not only to, you know, react in the moment, but also to think, like, you know, at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of this month, you know, is this going to matter as much? You know, and I think sometimes in the moment we put so much into that one thing that we had planned, because it was part of the plan. And we don't realize the bigger picture, right? We don't take a step back and say, you know, if this doesn't execute right, you know, we started 5 minutes late today. Like, if this doesn't execute right at 8:30, you know, is that a stressor that I need to be having in the back of my mind? Is that a gray hair that I need to, you know, give to? And it's like, you know, do I need to give that aspect of me to that stressor? Or are there other things that I want to invest my stress into? And so you react the best way, laugh it off. I mean, this is, you can't plan for the weather always. We live near a lake. Like, we have lake effect snow, and you can't plan for someone being ill. And those are just things that, you know, again, that maturity in life and learning how and when to, you know, give your worry to something, because there are much bigger things in life to worry about.
And also find somebody to help you through it. I mean, Ashley knows, literally, if we didn't start at 8:30, I'd be freaking out. And Ashley's like, it's okay. And, you know, it's not the end of the world. And that calms me, because you know, you've been there, you've done these before, you're a lot more experienced. And I think that that's really great advice that Ashley said. You know?
And to move up, definitely, don't work in a silo. And even if it's someone who has nothing to do with your project, that something's going wrong, that in some ways can be even better, because they have, you know, they don't have anything invested in it, and they can kind of give you that perspective from the outside. You know, like you mentioned, talking to your dad, or, you know, a spouse, or, you know, a friend sometimes about something, just to bounce an idea, or a mentor who is, you know, part of work in some way, but maybe has an opinion that's a little outside.
As long as someone you can trust. You know, and the other is, you know, it's funny because you just said 2 of the Facebooks we've already done, right? I mean, we talked about effective team building, you know, building a team, and one of the key points that we talked about was trust. You know, and the other we've talked about, we did one on the leader, you know, on the road to leadership, and talking about how, you know, the strengths and making sure you understand your teams. And, you know, if you all notice, everything is interlocking here, you know. Don't, you know, to your point, don't work in a silo. You know, a lot of times we just sit in our office, right? I mean,
we think the weight of the world is on our shoulders for these items, and, you know, work can be a team. And, you know, even if you are in an area where you're that only person, just, I mean, again, sharing your experiences, talking about them, can help you just manage those daily stressors and those daily changes that occur.
Just think through processes, talk through processes. Not everyone has the right answer. You know, a lot of times at least for me, a lot of my growth was watching and experiencing and shadowing everybody else and saying, ooh, I like that, I'm gonna take that, or oh, definitely not gonna be doing that, and that's my expertise, that's my personality, other people are certain ways and I'm a certain way, and so I take what I like, and that's what makes me more unique than, another person, and that's what makes you more unique than another person, There's a lot of different things that are involved in that, and it's all change.
Right.
Change is good.
And we can get through it, right?
Problem solving 101 too.
Yeah. So, I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and you maybe even give some pointers of your own. Feel free to comment and let us know how you responded to change, or if you have a funny story about change, because we experienced it this morning, but it's always good. We'll look back and laugh at this about ourselves. But overall, just stay positive in it as much as you can. If you need to take that 5 minutes or scream into a pillow for a second, we all have our emotional reactions, but it's really up to you how you get through it. And thanks for joining us and laughing with us as we went through this morning. So,
yeah, and my final thought is, if you don't have a pillow to scream in, walk away. Just walk away for a couple minutes. You did that the other day. Walk down the hall and then come back. So. I'm going to leave because we're by ourselves and no one can shut the camera off, so I'm going to do that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for thinking on your feet, and I'm going to leave you.
Okay, please do. So if you want more information about Corporate College, our trainings, or even our class Embracing Change at Work, feel free to check out the link in the description or visit us at corporatecollege.com. Thank you so much.